Well, I'm just trying to adjust it so that it's pointing in the right direction at least, but it's not. Equipment overhaul. Nam Shrishtam Manumapi Sachiputra Matra Swarupam Rupam Tasir Grajam Urupurim Maturam Gostavitam Radhakundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pradita Vipaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi. So we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 24. Section Sanatan Shiksha. Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Shiksha. And we're at the chapter entitled Explanations of the Atmaram verse. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So, yesterday we finished where Sanatan Goswami has reminded Mahaprabhu that Mahaprabhu has instructed him to write a book on the conventions and customs, the rules and regulations pertaining to Vaishnava practice, conduct. And Sanatan Goswami has said, I don't feel qualified to write such a piece of literature. So I need your mercy. I need your Shakti, your spiritual. I need your spiritual grace. If you would please manifest yourself within my heart and personally direct me in writing this book, then, although I am low born, I may hope to be able to write it. If you can do this, you can do this because you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead yourself, and whatever you direct is perfect. So we see that both Rupa and Sanatan were empowered, that's the correct word, empowered by Mahaprabhu in their service. The import for all of us being that if we can approach with a similar pure attitude, then empowerment in our service activities is available there. It's not as if it is just a once-off, something that was only available when Mahaprabhu was personally present on the planet. But it is existing permanently and available to be tapped into with the correct approach. So, text 328. Tapped into, accessed, requested. It is available nonetheless. Prabhu kahe ya karete kariba tumimana. Krishna say toma karabas purana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, whatever you want to do, you will be able to do correctly by Lord Krishna's favor. He will manifest the real purport. Tathape e sutrera shuna digdarashan sakarana likki adao guru ashrayan. Because you asked me for a synopsis, please hear these few indications. In the beginning, one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Guru Lakshana, Shishya Lakshana, Donhara Parikshana, Sevya Bhagavan Sarva Mantra Vicharana. In your book, there should be the characteristics of the bona fide guru and the bona fide disciple. Then, before accepting a spiritual master, one can be assured of the spiritual master's position. Similarly, the spiritual master can also be assured of the disciple's position. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, should be described as the worshipful object. And you should consider the Bija Mantra for the worship of Krishna, Ram, or any other expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'll read some of the purport here. It's a long purport. A very long one. Srila Prabhupada gets very inspired by this verse and produces 6 pages of purport. So we'll just read the first little bit. Purport. In the Padma Purana, the characteristics of the Guru, the bona fide spiritual master, have been described. Mahabhagavata Shreshto Brahmano Vai Guru Rinam Sarvesham Eva Lokanam Aso Pujyo Yata Harihi Mahakula Prasutopi Sarva Yagyeshu Dikshita Sahasra Shakadhyai Cha Na Guru Syad Avaishnavaha. The Guru must be situated on the topmost platform of devotional service. There are 3 classes of devotees, and the Guru must be accepted from the topmost class. The first class of devotee is the spiritual master for all kinds of people. It is said, Guru Nrinam. The word Nrinam means of all human beings. The Guru is not limited to a particular group. It is stated in the Upadeshamrita of Rupa Goswami that a Guru is a Goswami, a controller of the senses and the mind. Such a Guru can accept disciples from all over the world. Prativim Sasishyat. This is the test of the Guru. So there we go, a very basic definition. Actually, there is somewhat nuanced, because first it is said, Maha Bhagavata Shreshto. So, Brahmano Vai Gurunrinam. So, a topmost devotee, Maha Bhagavat, should be selected as one's Guru. But then we have the definition, the broader definition, given in the first verse of Upadeshamrita, which is Vacho Vegam Manasavit, Vacho Vegam Manasakrodha Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Udarupasta Vegam, Itan Vegan Yuvisahita Dira, Sarvam Apimam Pradivim Sasishyat. Right? Which means that someone that can control those 6 items, speech, mind, anger, tongue, stomach, genitals, they can initiate. They can be disciple. They can initiate all around the world. They can be international gurus, so to speak, if they can control those 6. A vega is an urge of the mind or the body, a desire to do something, an impulse, sensual impulse, psychosensual impulse. So if someone can control those basic impulses, which drive one to interact in an exploitative fashion with the environment, then they're qualified to help other people overcome those impulses or guide them spiritually. They're qualified to be a guru. So the basic idea is that once you've achieved a certain premise or a certain spiritual platform, then you're qualified to help other people. Until you've achieved that yourself, you're incapable of helping anyone else. And any attempt to do so will be futile, weak, or it will be fraudulent, because you'll be pretending to be on a place where you're not, and thus you'll be cheating people, which we see unfortunately quite a lot of these days. People getting cheated in the name of the spirit, in the spiritual business. So, although the ideal is that one's guru is at the Mahabhagavat platform, Uttam Adhikari, that's not always possible. It's not always possible. But at least the guru should be able to firmly control their mind and senses. Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, particularly anger is particularly mentioned. Lust, anger. And the next verse mentions greed. Atyahara is greed. So, even this, I mean, the whole issue is nuanced, but this is the basic concept. And it is nuanced in the sense that even the Uttam Adhikari, if they are commissioned to serve in some preaching capacity, or if they desire out of compassion to serve in some kind of preaching capacity, then they will generally descend from the topmost platform of Uttam Adhikari to Madhyam Adhikari in order to carry out their preaching functions. So they're still an Uttam Adhikari. This is the nuanced bit. They're still an Uttam Adhikari, but they're on the platform of Madhyam to perform their service operations, their preaching service operations. So we'll read in a little bit from this purport. In India, there are many so-called gurus, and they are limited to a certain district or province. They do not even travel about India, yet they declare themselves to be Jagad Guru, gurus of the whole world. Such cheating gurus should not be accepted. Anyone can see how the bona fide spiritual master accepts disciples from all over the world. The guru is a qualified Brahman. Therefore, he knows Brahman and Para-Brahman. He thus devotes his life for the service of Para-Brahman. The bona fide spiritual master, who accepts disciples from all over the world, is also worshipped all over the world because of his qualities. Lokanam aso pujyo yata harihi. The people of the world worship him just as they worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All these honors are offered to him because he strictly follows the Brahminical principles and teaches these principles to his disciples. Such a person is called an acharya because he knows the principles of devotional service. He behaves in that way himself, and he teaches his disciples to follow in his footsteps. Thus he is an acharya or Jagad Guru. Even though a person is born in a Brahminical family and is very expert in performing sacrifices, he cannot be accepted as a guru if he is not a strict Vaishnav. A guru is a Brahmin by qualification, and he can turn others into Brahmins according to the Shastric principles and Brahminical qualifications. Brahmanism is not a question of heredity. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7.32.11, Sri Narad Muni tells Maharaj Yudhisthira that what a Brahman is. He states that if Brahminical qualifications are observed in Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras, one should accept them as Brahmanas. In this regard, Srila Sridhar Swami, the commentator of the Bhagavatam, has commented, Samadhibir eva brahmana di vyavaharo mukhya najati matrajityaha yasyati yadyadi anyatra varnanantre pidrisyeta tad varnantaram tinaiva lakshana nimittinaiva varnana vinirdishet natu jati nimitin nit yartaha. There is a similar statement made by Nilakanta, commentator of Mahabharata. Although one may be born in a Sudra family, he is endowed with the Brahminical qualities. Beginning with Sama, control of the mind, he is to be accepted as a Brahmana. Although one may be born in a Brahmana family, if he is endowed with the qualities beginning with Kam, lust, he is to be considered a Sudra. No one should present himself as a Brahmana simply on the basis of being born in a Brahminical family. One must be qualified by the Brahminical qualities mentioned in the Shastras, particularly the Bhagavad Gita. Shamo damas tapasocham kshantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So, qualification comes by guna, quality, not by janma, birth. If the quality for guruship comes just by janma, then it's very vulnerable to corruption and exploitation. Because a person is automatically entitled to perform that role simply by being born in a particular family, regardless of their personal standard of adhikar, their personal adhikar, the qualities. Whereas someone may be born in a less socially respectable family, but because of their qualities, they're capable of functioning as a guru, performing legitimately as a guru. So it's guna is all important, quality, not janma so much. Janma can help develop guna, If someone is born in a good family, then they can more easily develop good qualities. They can have access to good guidance. But it's not the determining factor. The determining factor ultimately is the guna of the person. By extension, we can see how the parampara established by Siddhanta Saraswati, Bhagavad Parampara, is based on this concept. And how prior to that, certain groups tried to monopolize, certain lineages attempted to monopolize the Guru Tattva of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It can only be accessed through us. You must connect through the Diksha line, take formal connection with us if you want to have access to proper connection to Rupa Goswami, the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this formality, which stifles the real flow of spiritual truth, this was dismantled by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. To the chagrin, of course, of those people that were managing those Diksha lines. Certain Goswamis, Babajis perhaps. They didn't like that. Because, why? Because their income and their prestige, or definitely their prestige, and often their income, relied on such a system, and the dismantling of that system jeopardized those two factors, income and prestige. Kanak and Pratishta. Their Kanak and Pratishta was damaged, dismantled by Saraswati Thakur, and they didn't like that at all. Comprehende? So, this is a principle, of course, runs in line with the verse Krishna Bhakti Rasa Bhavita Matahi Kriyatam Yadi Kutop Pilabdyate Tatra Lolyam Apimulyam Ekalam Koti Janma Sukrater Nalabdyate. Which means that wherever Krishna consciousness, part of this verse, wherever Krishna consciousness is available, it needs to be purchased immediately, whatever price. The qualification is desperation for it, to the point where wherever it is, one needs to purchase it. If you're very, 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 very hungry, you'll take food wherever it's available. You're not going to be too fussy, because the need for it is so great. You need it. Keep body and soul together. So you're not going to be so fussy about who cooked it. So if the intensity of one's spiritual need is at that level, you will take it wherever it is. Wherever that spiritual food is, you'll take it. Now, examples are never perfect, so you're probably thinking, but that food is not very high quality. So the example fails there. But nonetheless, if there's a great need for spiritual sustenance, you will take it from wherever it comes, wherever you find the real thing. In other words, all considerations, all external chaff, all the fluff that gets in the way, all these external, superficial considerations are done away with, and you're looking only, your criterion is only where that actual substance is flowing. That's all. And that's the Bhagavad Parampara. So the Bhagavad Parampara is scripturally based on the very core of what gives Krishna consciousness, the lolyam search for the real substance. And it does away with all this, all superfluous tradition and practice that has attempted to monopolize the flow of Krishna consciousness over the generations. Anyway, let's continue here. Text 331. Mahaprabhu is telling Sanatana Goswami, giving him a basic outline of what the content of the book should be. This is quite good, actually. This is like, if many of us have not read the Hari Bhakti Vilas cover to cover, I haven't. And of course it's quite detailed and difficult to follow completely. Indeed, Gurudev has said that it's impossible to follow all the rules and regulations in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. The standards given, the practices given are not so easy to follow in today's world. But here we have a synopsis of the content. It's a little simpler and very nice. Mantra adhikari mantra siddhyadi sodana diksha prata smriti kritya socha achamana. You should discuss the qualifications necessary for receiving a mantra, the perfection of the mantra, the purification of the mantra, initiation, morning duties, remembrance of the Supreme Lord, cleanliness, washing the mouth and other parts of the body. Danta, Davana, Snana, Sandhyadi Vandana, Guru Seva, Udra, Pundra, Chakradi, Dharana. In the morning, one should regularly brush his teeth, take his bath, offer prayers to the Lord, and offer obeisances to the spiritual master. One should render service to the spiritual master and paint one's body in 12 places with Urdhva Pundra Tilak. One should stamp the holy names of the Lord on his body, or one should stamp the symbols of the Lord, such as the disc and the club. Gopi Chandan Malya Dhriti Tulasi Aharan Vasrapita Griha Samskar Krishna Prabodhan. After this, you should describe how one should decorate his body with Gopi Chandan, wear neck beads. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After this, you should describe how one should decorate his body with Gopi Chandan, wear neck beads, collect tulsi leaves from the tulsi tree, cleanse his cloth on the altar, cleanse one's own house and apartment, and go to the temple, ring the bell, just to draw the attention of Lord Krishna. Pancha Sadasa, Pancha Sat Upachari Archana, Pancha Kala Puja Arte Krishnera Bhojana Sayana. Also describe deity worship, wherein one should offer food to Krishna at least 5 times daily. One should, in due time, place Krishna on a bed. You should also describe the process for offering arati and the worship of the Lord according to the list of 5, 16, or 50 ingredients.
Prabhu?
Yes?
It says you should offer food 5 times a day.
It said ingredients, lists of ingredients. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has come to our rescue. He says, the 5 ingredients are very good scents, very good flowers, incense, lamp, and something edible. And as for the 16 ingredients, a sitting place, ask Krishna to sit down, offer arghya, offer water, wash the mouth, offer madhuparka, offer water for washing the mouth, bathe, offer garments, decorate the Lord's body with ornaments, offer sweet scents, offer flowers with good fragrance, offer incense, offer a lamp, offer good food, offer prayers. It's like the basic processes of puja. Srimurti Lakshana Ara Shalagrama Lakshana Krishna Kshetra Yatra Krishna Murti Darashana. The characteristics of the deities should be discussed as well as the characteristics of the Shalagram Shila. One should also discuss visiting the deities in the temple and touring holy places like Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka. Nama Mahima Nama Parada Duri Varajana Vaishnav Lakshana Sarva Seva Parada Kandana. You should glorify the holy name and carefully give up offences when chanting the holy name. One should know the symptoms of a Vaishnav. One must give up or nullify all kinds of Seva Aparad, offences in deity worship. Shankajala Ganda Pushpa Dupadi Lakshana Japastuti Parikrama Dandavat Vandana. The items of worship such as water, conch shell, incense and lamp should be described. You should also mention chanting softly, offering prayers, circumambulating, and offering obeisances. All these should be carefully studied. Purport. All these are mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. The Astam Vilas of that book should be consulted as far as possible. Purascharana Vidhi Krishna Prasad Bhojana Anivideti Tyaga Vaishnav Nindadi Varjana. Other items to be considered are the method of performing Purascharan, taking Krishna Prasad, giving up unoffered food, and not blaspheming the Lord's devotees.
And what is
Purascharan, general ceremonies, ritualistic ceremonies, the processes for performing rituals. Vidhi, Purascharana Vidhi. I don't think it has a more specific meaning here. General rules regarding rituals and ceremonies. Sadhu Lakshana, Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sevana, Asat Sangha Tyaga Shri Bhagavat Shravana. One should know the symptoms of a devotee and how to associate with devotees. One should know how to satisfy the devotee by rendering service. One should know how to give up the association of non-devotees. One should also regularly hear the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dina Kritya Paksha Kritya Ekadas Yadi Vivarana Masa Kritya Janmastam Yadi Vidhi Vicharana. You should describe the ritualistic duties of every day, and you should describe the fortnightly duties, especially observing Ekadasi fast, which comes every fortnight. You should also describe the duties of every month, especially the observance of ceremonies like Janmastami, Ramnavami, and Srimad Chaturdasi. Ekadasi, Janmastami, Vamana Dvarasi, Sri Ram Navami, Arana Srimad Chaturdasi. Ekadasi, Janmastami, Vaman Dvarasi, Ram Navami, and Srimad Chaturdasi should all be observed. Esabe Vidha Tyaga Avidha Karana, Akarane Dosa Kaile Bhaktira Lambana. You should recommend the avoidance of mixed Ekadasi and the performance of pure Ekadasi. You should also describe the fault in not observing this. One should be very careful as far as these items are concerned. If one is not careful, one will be negligent in executing devotional service. So we can see that the rules that we follow every Ekadasi, some Ekadasis are not followed on the Ekadasi day, right? We follow them on Dwadasi the next day. So the foundation for that is right here in this verse. Should recommend the avoidance of mixed Ekadasi. So the Ekadasi is followed on the Ekadasi Tithi when it's pure. Generally, in most there's 8 different permutations of Tithi and Nakshatra that determine whether an Ekadasi is pure or not. And one of the common ones is when the sun, when Ekadasi Tithi has not begun before 2 muhurtas prior to sunrise on Ekadasi day. So Ekadasi Tithi is the Tithi is a measurement of the moon's distance from the sun. So if the moon has not entered, you could say Ekadasi Tithi, that space that is Ekadasi Tithi, 12 degrees of space, before 96 minutes before sunrise on Ekadasi day, then that becomes mixed, which is known as Vidha. Vidha Ekadasi. It's considered a dosha, a fault. That's one of the main ones, generally, maybe 50-60% of the time, because the moon has not entered Ekadasi Tithi, or Ekadasi, the moon is not entering the Tithi as such, but because Ekadasi Tithi has not begun before 96 minutes before sunrise. A muhurta is 48 minutes. So 2 muhurtas, 48 times 2, 96 minutes before sunrise. Then it's followed on the next day. And that next day is known as Mahadwarasi.
How do they forecast whether the moon and the sun will position themselves in those exact percentages and degrees that you're mentioning? For example, the Ekadashi calendar is forecast a year ahead, so how do they know whether these factors will be so precise?
Astronomical calculations. There's various methods. I mean, there's entire books and libraries written on the subject. But with tithis, for instance, initially, on the very basic human level, it's done at a basic level of human observation. So you look when the sun and the moon conjoin, that's Amavasya Tithi, that's the old moon. And when they begin to separate, that's Pratipat Tithi, the first Tithi of the cycle. That would be Gaura Pratipat or Shukla Pratipat. And as the moon moves away from the sun by 12 degrees, that becomes Dvitiya Tithi, and then Tritiya, Chaturthi, Panchami, etc. And the 11th of that, so every 12 degrees, there's another Tithi begins. So the first primordial way of calculating it is to sit out there and look at it. That's how it's done. And then you could say the insight of the rishis, they were able to calculate better, and mathematical formulas, mathematical models and formulas were designed to calculate the movements of the various heavenly bodies, particularly the sun and the moon, primary ones, the light givers. And this is known as a type of Siddhanta, and is recorded in books such as the Surya Siddhanta. Surya Siddhanta is the most famous of them, but there's a few more. And they're astronomical treatises which describe mathematical models to track the movements of the planets and the calculation of tithis, nakshatras, etc. Vara, the 5 elements of the Panchanga. Panchanga means 5. Panjika, same thing. 5 limbs: Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra, Karan, and Yoga. So, calculation of Yoga is addition of the longitudes of the sun and the moon. Calculation of Tithi is the separation between the sun and the moon. Vara, Nakshatra is the lunar constellation that the moon is in. And the Karana is a half a Tithi. Tithis are divided into half. So once you know the Tithi, then you'll which portion of the Tithi the moon occupies, then you'll know the Karana. And the Vara is the solar day. Just like the Tithi is the lunar day, the Vara is the solar day. Which goes from sunrise to sunrise. Chandrabar, Kujabar, or Mangalbar. You've heard these terms, right? Budhabar, Wednesday. Brihaspatibar, Thursday. Shukrabar, Friday. Shanibar, Saturday. And Sunday is your Bengali heritage, you know this stuff. Ravibar. Suryabar. Ravi, Surya. So, that's Panchanga. So the calculation of Panchanga and the planetary movements needed, the movements of the moon relative to the sun needed to calculate Panchanga, can, on the primordial level, were done visually. As I was saying, you watch the moon move away from the sun, come around and join the sun again, every 30 days. The lunar orbit. And when you divide, in that 30 days, the moon will have gone around a full circle, which is 360 degrees. If you divide 360 by 30, what do you get? 12 degrees. 30 portions of 12 degrees. So every 12 degrees that the moon moves from the sun, that's a tithi. 15 of those, from the new moon to the full moon, are from Pratipad to Purnim. And then from Purnim back to Amavasya. Pratipad starts again after the full moon, Krishna Pratipad back to Amavasya. So each cycle, each phase, known as a paksha, is 15 times 12, 15 portions of 30 degrees. And each full cycle is 30 portions of 12 degrees. So anyway, that's the calculation. Bit of a diversion there, but calculation was done by visual observation at first. Nowadays, it's all computerized. So you have the traditional Siddhantas and the formulas involved therein. And now computers have taken over the mathematical side of it, known as Drik Siddhanta. Surya Siddhanta and Drik Siddhanta. So the calculation of pure Ekadasi versus Vidya, or some kind of tainted Ekadasi, is important, as has been stated specifically here by Mahaprabhu. So all of these rules, so Sanatana Goswami has indeed carried out and written down such rules regarding the calculation of Ekadasi, and they're to be found in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Among some other interesting astronomical/astrological rules and concepts. Sarvatra pramana dibe purana vachana Shri Murti Vishnu Mandira Karana Lakshana. Whatever you say about Vaishnav's behavior, the establishment of Vaishnav temples and deities, and everything else, should be supported by evidence from the Puranas. Samanya sarachara ara Vaishnava achara kartavya sabasmarta vyavahara. You should give general and specific descriptions of the behavior and activities of a Vaishnava. You should outline all things that are to be done and all things that are not to be done. All this should be described as regulations and etiquette. Achara. E Sankshepe Sutra Kahilun Digdarashana Yabe Tumi Likiba Krishna Kare Bes Purana. I have thus given a synopsis of the Vaishnav regulative principles. I have given this in brief, just to give you a little direction. When you write on this subject, Krishna will help you by spiritually awakening you. Hari Bol, Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we'll read from Revealed Truth, one sub-chapter. We are in the chapter entitled Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Mood of Devotion. And there's a very short sub-chapter entitled Smashing the Ego. Oh, hang on. No, we're on the one before. Curing our offensive mentality. So in this section, Gurudev is talking about Mahaprabhu's instructions regarding the holy name. He's touched on the first two verses of Shikshastakam, Chaito Darpanam Arjanam, Bhava Mahadav Agni Nirvapanam, and the next verse, Nam Namakari Bahudani Jasarva Shaktis. And now What verse do you think he's going to touch on?
Trinadapi.
Yeah, of course. Trinadapi sunichena tarari vasa hishnuna mane na manadena kirtaniya sadahari. First 3 verses of Shikshastakam deal specifically with Krishna's holy name. Curing our offensive mentality. In the 3rd verse of his Shikshastakam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained the qualifications needed to avoid the 10 offenses and attract the Lord's divine name to reveal himself in our heart, with his full power. Trinadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Constantly chant the Lord's divine name with a mood of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others, and without desiring honor for yourself. Then you will become qualified to chant the Lord's holy name without offense. 3 items: humility, tolerance, giving honor. But the 3rd item, giving honor, also comes with as a dual item. So it's giving honor / not desiring honor for oneself. And often the second part of that item is overlooked. So it's kind of easy to give honor to others when you're receiving honor yourself. But if someone does not give you honor as you believe they should, if they behave to you in what you feel is an inappropriate manner, suddenly giving honor becomes a Herculean task. It's almost impossible, right? It's all easy to go, oh, you're such a great devotee. And say, oh, you're a great devotee too. But if someone says, you're just not up to standard, you're not such a good devotee, you're going to go, well, you're not a very good devotee either. So it's easy to be a summertime devotee when if you feel someone is, really it's massaging your ego. And then you're happy to give honor. So this is actually talking about behavior that is deeper than that. Because it's going beyond the level of the mind and the ego. The mind and the ego will always desire honor. They always desire puja, pratishta, these things. And these things grow as weeds concomitant to one's spiritual practice. This is discussed this is told by Mahaprabhu in Rupa Shiksha, a few chapters prior to this. They always grow as weeds. So it's easy to nourish each other's weeds. We have to be careful that the honor we are giving is not just based on some kind of arrangement that I give you honor and you give me honor and then we'll all pretend that we're Paramahansas. But that one's ability to be disturbed, to have their equilibrium disturbed by another person's words or actions, that no longer applies to us. We've achieved some element of transcendentalism, risen above the mind and the ego, which will constantly look for ways to be offended. We see it in today's world. Everyone's getting offended all the time about all sorts of things. So devotees don't play that game. So although, yes, it's nice to praise other devotees and give recognition and attention to good qualities, and that's essential, actually, not diminishing that. That is an essential instruction. At the same time, we have to make sure that we're not playing a game of charade or some little game where it's simply massaging each other's ego. And as soon as that little bubble is popped by someone else, the real you comes out. So not desiring honor for oneself can be a difficult one. But it comes in time with the process of purification. These things come in time as the ego, the sway of the ego in one's life gradually diminishes. Then these qualities like humility and giving honor without desiring it for oneself, they can be practiced, properly practiced. They can be truly present in one's life. Gurudev says, Here Mahaprabhu expresses his conception that a real practitioner of Krishna consciousness must be humble, tolerant, give honor to others, and have no desire for honor themselves. These are the essential qualities of a Vaishnava, and anyone who truly has these qualities is qualified to chant the Lord's holy name purely. Mahaprabhu's advice is very simple, and by following it, surely we will easily avoid all offensiveness. No offense will be able to touch us. Mahaprabhu's formula of humility, tolerance, and giving honor to others is the perfect remedy for our misfortune of offensiveness towards the Lord's holy name, which he explains in his second verse. Nam namakari bahuda nija sava shaktis. He explains his offensiveness towards the Lord's. Oh, right, he says, I have no attraction. Yeah. I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for the names. So Gurudev is saying that humility, tolerance, and honor kind of ring fences one's bhakti lata. Bhakti lata means one's creeper. Lata is translated as a creeper, like a vine. Bhakti of devotion. One's plant, creeper of devotion, is ring fenced when one practices humility, tolerance, and giving honor to other devotees. Because if one does do that without desiring it for oneself, because if you do desire it for yourself and someone doesn't give it to you, then you're probably going to dishonor them, and that's aparad, right? So practicing that protects the bhakti lata, ring fences it. These three items, so important. Gurudev was a paragon of giving humility, tolerance, and honor to others without desiring it for himself. A shining example of that. And he preached that. And one of Gurudev's close servitors, Bhakti Lalita Devi, she said, someone asked Gurudev why. She recounted to me that once someone asked Gurudev, why are you emphasizing these principles so much? Why are you hammering them home? Why are you making them kind of like the ethos of your teachings? And Gurudev's reply was, out of desperation, because nothing else works. Nothing else works. Which means, if nothing else works, these things are imperative. They're essential to spiritual progress. So Gurudev honed in on this as the key to success in spiritual life. Jai Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Gurudeva Ki Jai. Do you want to sing, Prabhu? Hari Hari. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha. Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinath Namaha.
Param Hamsa Parvati Chai Vai Astata Satushi Man. Should Baksudaka Vilitaka Swami Maharaj
Jai.
Sai Astata Satushi Man. Bhakti Bhagavad Gita Deka Swami Maharaj Ki Jai. Param Hamsa Parvati Chai. Sai Astata Satushi Man. Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Vishippa Shri Gaurika Shodas Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Satchidananda Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Vishippa Shri Jagannath Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Utpanoku Garavaka Ki Jai. Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Padadai Vijabhusana Ki Jai. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Ki Jai. Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Ki Jai. Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu Ki Jai. Sapasada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Sapasada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shami Kunwara Kungivi Govardhan Gopalju Ki Jai. Shri Lakshmi Ravaha Devi Ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Vikna Minashai Shri Nisingi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Prabhat Pulab Maharaj Ki Jai. Ganga Janamati Ki Jai. Tosi Mahavani Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Goswami Sanatana Goswami Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami Shri Jagannath Shri Jiva Goswami Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami Shri Raghunath Das Goswami Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nishma Go Premanandi Hari Hari Go.